On this episode of Our Mountains, reality TV star Mark Jackson joins us to talk about his amazing race around the world.
Rhonda's back in the kitchen cooking up some delicious cornbread salad.
And Richard Bowers is back to perform a beautiful gospel song. All this and more are coming up on Our Mountains. Welcome to Our Mountains. I'm Rhonda Brashear.
I'm Dean Osborne.
And I'm Joel Brashear. And folks, welcome again. Today we're going to start off with something kind of special, but before we do that, I want to ask you all, what was your favorite television show growing up? Mom?
Probably I Love Lucy. I just loved her and she was so funny.
Dino?
I had two. Tom Jones Show when I was real small, and Hee Haw.
Both good, both good. I like professional wrestling. That was my favorite show growing up. I was going to be a pro wrestler till I was about 19 and kind of decided, maybe not. But Miss Venita Caldwell was with us. Dean liked that. Miss Venita Caldwell was with us just a couple weeks ago for an interview that you did with her mom. But we brought her back. She's going to tell us a story today about watching television when she was growing up here in our mountains.
Since we're here today celebrating Rhonda and Joel's brand new adventure of TV and Our Mountains, I thought we'd talk a little bit about TV and how TV in our mountains, these beautiful mountains, has changed since I was a child growing up in the 1960s. We got television in the Morgan household about 1957, 58. So when I talk about growing up with television, I'm talking about the 50s and the 60s and early 70s here in eastern Kentucky. And for those of you who might want to reference, if you know where Rhonda lives, I lived on the other side of that hill right there. So when we're talking about this, I'm talking about very, very close. When my son was about 13 years old, he was having this big fit because we didn't have DirecTV. All I heard was every day, it was, when are we going to get DirecTV? I mean, cable had become just not good enough for Ben at that particular point, and he wanted DirecTV. And I had heard DirecTV just about as long as I had wanted to hear DirecTV. That's a plug, I guess. I should probably stop saying that, TV. But anyway, I got tired of it, and one day I said, son, sit down, because I want to tell you a little bit about DirecTV. I have had DirecTV long before you were born. I had DirecTV because DirecTV meant that it ran from a line in the back of my house to the top of that mountain right there. And let me tell you about my experience with DirecTV. My father would come home on a Monday afternoon because that was when Gunsmoke was on. And he would want to watch Gunsmoke, but unfortunately it had rained or it had done something. An acorn had fallen, a leaf had fallen. This is a perfect day. If Daddy were coming home from coal trucking today, this would have been an evening when he would have had to have made a little trip to the top of the mountain to clear off the TV line so that we could get a signal. All right, so up the mountain he would go to readjust the antenna, which was perched precariously on the top of the highest cliff on the mountain. So there he would go. Now, I was part of the Morgan TV relay team. Now, what that meant was, and I was the most important part. Let's get that clear. I was the most important part of the Morgan TV relay team. My father would trudge to the top of the mountain. My mother would station herself in front of the television and she would turn it on. My sister, who always resented the fact that I had the most important part, was on the porch. I was in the car with my hand ready to go on the horn. And here's how this worked. My father is on top of this mountain and he is turning the antenna to get a signal from Lord knows where. When it comes in really clearly on the TV, my mother yells at Betty Sybil. Betty Sybil yells at Venita Carroll, and Venita Carroll hits the horn. Now that seems like a seamless operation, but let me tell you what happens between the turning and the honking. Time passes, and while they're relaying the message to the horn honker, Daddy has already passed it up. and often comes back to the house with TV in the same shape that it was in when he left. But anyway, so that was our direct TV in the 1950s and 1960s. My husband, who grew up in the thriving metropolis of Coon Creek in Leslie County, has a story that he tells that just about kills me every time. When he was about, my husband is one of 8, a large family. And they too had direct TV, but they also had a line that had come loose from the side of the house and was just hanging there. Doug and his older brother Wayne were on the porch, and it began to thunder, and a storm started up, and there was lightning. And my mother-in-law comes out and she says, "Boys, you need to get in the house right now." And they're like, "Nah," you know, and she says, "Seriously, you're going to get hit by lightning. Get off the railing. You're standing by that line. Get off there. You're going to get hit by lightning." "No, we're not going to get hit by lightning." And they paid absolutely no attention. Well, lightning struck and hit both of them. Now, in 1968, 67, 68, probably for those boys, when anyone gets struck by lightning on Coon Creek, that's big news. If that happens today, that's big news. But anyway, word got out that Willie and Evelyn's boys had been struck by lightning. And so people started coming, you know, and people from across the creek came, and people from down the road came, and they all wanted to see these boys where they got struck by lightning. Well, Wayne, the older boy, would just simply put his arm out and show them where he got singed all the way down his arm. My husband had to drop his pants.
Well, folks, we sure do appreciate Miss Venita coming and sharing a story with us. You know, I've worked in television now for the better part of a decade. I've done everything from duct tape a camera to a pole and field dress a microphone in the middle of a forest, but I've never had to deal with something like that. Now, don't you guys go anywhere. There's a whole lot more Our Mountains coming up right after this.
Frontier Nursing University, celebrating 75 years as pioneers for healthcare. Our mission is to educate nurse midwives and nurse practitioners to serve women and families. Learn more about Frontier Nursing University. Visit frontier.edu.
Folks, welcome back to Our Mountains. Now, Dino, I'm sure you've been all over the place touring. What's the strangest place you ever went to?
The strangest place. Well, really too many to boil it down to one strange place. But we did get in a strange situation one time where our bus broke down on the Georgia-Florida line, and the guys in the band at the time thought it was going to be the very first time we all missed a show, because we had never missed one. And the people we were working for really didn't want us to miss the show, so they picked us up in a private jet and flew us to the show. That's the best and strangest transport story I've got.
That's not a bad way to travel, folks. Now, we've got a guest for you right now who knows a lot about traveling all over the world. Mom's sitting down with Mark Jackson.
Welcome back, everybody. This is a gorgeous day, and I'm sitting here on my deck with my good friend Mark Jackson. Now, you may remember a little while back, Mark was on the show on CBS, The Amazing Race. Welcome, Mark. I'm glad to have you in my home today.
Nice to be here. Very nice home.
Thank you. So, Mark, we're going to talk to you today about growing up. Why don't you tell me a little bit about you as a little boy?
Well, when I was born in General Hospital in Cincinnati, Ohio, because I had a deformed foot. My foot was turned around backwards, and they had to break my legs. And if you ever seen that movie Forrest Gump when he wore them braces, well, that was me when I was growing up.
Wow.
And I wore the braces and stayed in the Shriners Hospital for, on and off for 2 or 3 years, and finally got to go home. And one day I just realized that I could walk without them, and thought I'd try it, and I did.
Like Forrest, just let them fall off
Just
of you,
let them
huh?
fall off.
Good.
And then after that, I thought, well, that was a bad time in my life, but I was young, and then I caught that I was allergic to a lot of stuff like grass, milk, cheese products and all that stuff, and had to change my sheets and everything where I just could not be around no dust or nothing. And then after that, I finally got over that and thought, well, yes, everything's going right. Then I caught rheumatic fever.
Oh.
And it was just a terrible childhood, but by the grace of God, I got over every bit of it. And my mother was a single mother, and she raised 4 kids. And people think they got it hard. They just don't realize how hard it is to raise kids by yourself. And that's why I have to say I give all my blessings to God and my mother, because without my mother, she is one of the strongest people that I know, and I love her more than anything.
That's great. That's great. Well, I've just got to ask you some questions. I know our listeners and our viewers are wanting to know about the Amazing Race. Now, you went in how many different countries, roughly? Do you remember?
Oh, I'm going to say 7 or 8.
What was the grossest thing you ate while you were gone, or that you were served?
Well, it was in Thailand, and I mean, I'm just an old country boy, and I can't even pronounce what it was, but it was just some of the ugliest stuff that the people love. But I am a true country boy. You can take the boy out of the country, but you can't take the country out of the boy.
Okay.
And that was just the way it was. And I would look down the menus, and I couldn't understand that stuff and all that. So I would look for steak, chicken, hot, just something that something I knew.
Well, I love to eat and I love to cook, so maybe we'll have to get together sometime and grill a steak. Would you do that?
Yes, ma'am. I
That
love
would be
steaks.
fun. That
I
would be
love
fun.
steaks.
Well, back to the Amazing Race. I know Bopper was your partner, and the last time you were on, he had some health problems. And they paired you with another Kentuckian, a young girl.
Yes.
But you didn't get to stay on very long, did you?
No, for some reason, me and her didn't jive real good. I mean, it was like, see, me and Bopper, we know each other back and forth. I mean, we clicked together. We've known each other our whole life, and we just jive. Well, she come on there to take Bopper's place, and that was one of the hardest things that I had to do, was to leave my best friend and go without him to do this, but he wanted us to. And I told Bopper, I said, Bopper, it's not going to be the same. He said, well, man, you've got somebody that's smarter than me and will be able to do this stuff with you. I said, Bopper, it ain't about us being smart. I mean, neither one of us is the sharpest tool in the shed, you know, but we're used the most. And I mean, we got out there, and me and her just didn't get along, and I think that's what really hurt us. And everybody wants to talk about the backpack. The backpack had everything that I needed in it. And the way me and her was going, I was not going to leave my backpack. And that didn't cost us the race. And everywhere I go now, everybody comes up to me, hey, where's your backpack at? You know, I tell them it's at home. But me and her wasn't jiving, and they asked me, did I have anything to say? And just like my mother always says, if you ain't got nothing good to say, don't say nothing at all. So that was exactly what I told them.
And Mark, you've traveled all over the country, all over the world, and you even went to some third world countries.
Yes, I did.
Now, Eastern Kentucky gets a black eye sometimes for not being the greatest place to live. And I know that your community and my community, a few months back, got written up pretty badly, the worst place to live.
Yes.
After traveling around the world, how did it feel to come back to Clay County?
Well, that's what everybody asked me. I went and done a bunch of interviews, and they said, well, what was the best thing about your trip? I said, the truth about my trip, the best thing about it was that 2 miles to Manchester sign. Okay. I knowed I was back home, and that was the best thing. And we do have it rough in Eastern Kentucky, but you should see we are privileged to live in these areas, privileged to have the stuff that we have here. We have running water. We have food. I mean, I've been to places where you see little kids going to creeks to get water to bring back to their family. You see kids that don't even have an opportunity to get an education that is making handcrafts, sitting in the yard making some of the prettiest crafts you ever seen. In Eastern Kentucky, the people, this is the thing that gets me about Eastern Kentucky. You hear the acres drop. That is the greatest thing about living in the country. The greatest thing about living, it's all natural.
Mark, thank you for being here today. Now, we've got a long, hard winter, I hear, coming this
Yes, we
winter.
do.
So in the spring, will you come back and we'll set up a grill out here and grill us a steak?
Well, anytime you want
All
me
right.
to. I'll come winter, fall, spring, or summer.
Sounds good. Thank
All
you
right.
so much for being
Thank
on
y'all
our
for
mountains
having me.
today. You're
Thank you
welcome.
for having me.
All right.
We sure enjoyed our visit with Mark Jackson, and we hope he finds his backpack real soon. When we come back on Our Mountains, another song from our good friend Richard Bowers. Don't go away.
Our Mountains is currently looking for area businesses and organizations interested in sponsoring our show. From large corporations to the shop around the corner, any business in Our Mountains will benefit from the exposure gained from advertising on our show, and we have plans to fit any budget. Call Rhonda at 606-521-6493 or send us an email to ourmountainseky@gmail.com for more information or to set up an appointment. Help us celebrate East Kentucky culture and support Our Mountains.
Welcome back, everyone. You know, we've had Richard Bowers on our program a couple of times, and I love having him here, and I love listening to him sing and play his guitar. So here he is.
I want to just say thank you for the chance to be back here on Our Mountains. As I was growing up, we sang an awful lot of songs about heaven, and so I'm always curious and interested when I come across a new song about heaven, and so this song is called Home. Now, Lord, I've been sitting here tonight with just a few questions on my mind. Well, I've been thinking about heaven and how it's gonna be. When I walk through those gates, what will I see? Do the angels sing all day long? 'Cause I've heard there can't be no night. And does the lightning strike or a cool breeze blow every time that Jesus walks by? And do brothers and sisters still dance around the throne? And Lord, I'm just wondering about home. Just wondering about home. Just wondering about home. I'm trying to imagine what it'll be like walking on those golden streets with you by my side. Does time stand still or go on and on? Do we miss those until they make it home? Do the angels sing all day long? 'Cause I've heard there can't be no night. And does the lightning strike or a cool breeze blow every time Jesus walks by? And do brothers and sisters still dance around the throne? Lord, I'm just wondering about home. Just wondering about home. Just wondering about home. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun. Just wondering about home. just wondering about home.
Thank you, Richard, for that beautiful song. Now, if you'd like to see Richard or any of the other things we've done on our previous shows, you can go to our Facebook page. The information is right on your screen. Now, stay tuned. There's a lot more to come on Our Mountains.
Frontier Nursing University, celebrating 75 years as pioneers for healthcare. Our mission is to educate nurse midwives and nurse practitioners to serve women and families. Learn more about Frontier Nursing University. Visit frontier.edu.
Welcome back to Our Mountains. Right now we're going to head out to Muncie Creek Baptist Church and a great cooking segment featuring Rhonda and her famous cornbread salad. Here she is.
Hello, everyone. On a previous episode of Our Mountains, I showed you how to make a sour cream cornbread. And if you're ever lucky enough to have any left over, you can use it in this recipe today. Or you can just get you a box of the sweetened cornbread mix in the grocery store and make that. So I just happen to have some left over. I'm going to be using 2 cups of leftover cornbread, a can of red kidney beans drained, a can of whole kernel corn drained, a cup of shredded cheese, some crumbled bacon, some tomatoes and green onions and ranch dressing. And we're going to put all that together in a layer each ingredient, and it makes a pretty salad, and it's a really good salad. And most of you will have these things in your pantry, in your refrigerator. So starting at the bottom, and I like to use a nice footed bowl. This bowl belonged to my grandmother, and she passed away a long time ago, but I still want to use this bowl, and I think of her each time I use the bowl. So I'm going to start by putting about half of this in the bowl. And of course, in a layered salad, that's all you do. You just put a layer of this and a layer of that. So in no particular order. And here's the beans, some tomatoes, some green onions, and more cornbread, and corn. I'm just going to do all the corn. And all the beans. Just kind of layer them in there. The tomatoes. I'm saving the bacon for last. Now, the top layer, I want to put about half the cheese. And of course, you can do any way you want to, but this is just the way I normally do it. Now I'm going to pour a bottle, or almost the whole bottle, of ranch dressing. If you want to use the full fat, you can. Or if you want to use reduced fat or fat-free, that's up to you. Now as you pour that on there, it will seep and go all the way to the bottom. But you see how pretty the layers look? Different colors. And this is a good recipe to use year-round. It's good in the summertime, it's good in the fall, winter, just whenever. Now, the top layer, I'm going to put some bacon. And I'm going to sprinkle more cheese and garnish it with a few more green onions. That's it. You could use this as a main course, or you could use it as a side dish. So either way, you need to chill it for about an hour and let all of this dressing, you can see it's already starting to seep down in there. The cornbread will soak it up, and it's a great recipe. So I hope you try it.
That was a great segment featuring the cornbread salad and Miss Rhonda. Don't go away. Our Mountains will be right back.
Our Mountains is sponsored by Frontier Nursing University, Pioneers for Healthcare. The Kentucky Bankers Association. More than banks, they're your neighbors. You know, folks, I was lucky enough when I was growing up. Mom and Dad exposed me to a ton of different types of music. We listened to everything from Alabama, Beethoven, CCR to ZZ Top, and everything in between. Well, Mom's coming up right now with a song from one of those. I'll let you figure out which one it is.
Here's a song that's a blast from the past. See if you recognize it. Put a 'cause I'm bound to drift a while. When I'm gone, gone, you won't have to worry, long as I can see the light. Guess I've got that old traveling bone, 'cause this feeling won't leave me alone. But I won't be losing my way, long as I can see the light. Put a candle in the window, 'cause I feel I've got to move. Though I'm going, I'll be hurrying home soon, long as I can see the light. Long as I can see the light. Long as I can see the light. Well, folks, that's another week of Our Mountains. We hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making cornbread salad for you, and I hope you will make it for your family this Thanksgiving.
I once again was excluded from the cooking segment, and I got to enjoy the cornbread salad on the TV show.
Well, folks, one of these days we're going to invite Dean to one of these cooking segments. Maybe. But anyway, we'd love to hear from you. If you've ever missed one of our shows or want to see some extra content, it's all available on our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/OurMountainsEKY. And you know, we're always looking for story ideas. If you or somebody you know should be featured on Our Mountains, you know, positive, uplifting stories about the people here in this region, we'd love to share it. Just shoot us an email to OurMountainsEKY@gmail.com.
Or message us on Facebook.
Or write them and suggest that I'm on a cooking segment.
You know, I've been looking to do something with possum or snake.
That's me.
Have a good week, everybody.
So long.
Bye.